back to BSLIVE. The other day we talked about the Dream Texture add-on that enable you to do like AI art projections into 3D objects. Today I want to show you an alternative. It's still kind of the same. We're gonna start with Suzanne. So we're gonna do a UV projections, but before we start, I will need to activate my other method, which is using Stable Diffusion's WebUI. Okay, so this one will take a while to load. You probably need to do kind of like a manual setup yourself in order for this to run on your machine. And I'm using M1 8GB machine, and it's pretty kind of like a basic requirement. If you want to go higher, you need like a powerful GPU, and you need to have like enough VRAM and things like that. Anyway, we can start with Suzanne. Okay, I will do like a quick manual setup. I will go to orthographic view, which is the front view of Suzanne, and I want to show you the basic UV. So if you are using Dream Texture projection and you are using depth and you are doing the projections, you need to be in edit modes, right? And then you want to do the projections. If you are doing this manually, we know that with Suzanne showing here, and if we are in UV editor and you want to do UV projections, you can do F3 actually. Yeah, F3 UV projection. You need to be in edit mode, and I think U is unwrap, and you by tapping U you can unwrap the UV, or you can project from the view. You can project from the view using the bounce, which will squeeze Suzanne to fit the square, or you can use project from view. So you want Suzanne to be as much centered, and then you kind of play around with the view. Maybe probably something like this is the most convenience and the most ideal. So let's save this as projection. If you want, if you set this up like this and then you run the Dream Texture add-on with some prompting, this will run, but on my computer it's gonna take a while, right? So an alternative to this is to use this WebUI, and I will be using this depth 512 by 512 depth, and then I will use image to image, and I will drop Suzanne image. So that's the setup. We will be needing this Suzanne render first of all, or in fact we're gonna go to texture paint. We cannot paint anything because we need to have we need to have material, and then we need to have diffuse map. One second, let me think. Okay, we have a material. Now we need to have textures, and I will set up the base model at the base map. So we have Suzanne, and we have the projected UV. Save. And the next thing we need to do is this external. Okay, we're gonna do, this is the old way, really old school way to do projections. It's very basic. So it's gonna do like a screen grab of whatever being shown here, and it's gonna open up quick edit. Okay, this is the image. I think it's supposedly square image. If you do the if you do like a painting here, let me save first. Export. If you do any painting, so I'm using Mac preview painting, which is pretty bad way to do it. If I save this anyway and then come back to Blender, I can actually apply that. But we are not gonna do that because we're gonna do it using this WebUI. So I will drop the image we just created. Where is it? Should be on the desktop. Okay. And we are using depth, and okay, we need to have some kind of ideas what to project. Lexica, okay, Lexica, let's find a mecha robot. Okay, grab some ideas, copy the prompt, paste it into Stable Diffusion. Negative prompting, maybe leave it for now. Let's see how long this is gonna take us. Let's make 10. And I believe that's pretty much it. You can play around with the denoising, but it's gonna look at the Suzanne. It's gonna look at Suzanne. It's gonna create the depth. Oh, I have prompt matrix turn on. No, actually no. Dynamic prompting is currently turned off. Okay. Oh, actually it's enabled, but anyway, it's not gonna make variations. It's gonna look at Suzanne, it's gonna guess the depth, and then gonna try to create something based on this basic monkey head. And the time it's gonna take, hopefully it's fast enough so I don't need to talk too long. Okay. 6 minutes per generations is gonna create 16 for us. Interesting. Maybe 10 plus 6 different variations. Okay, interesting. So we can come back here. I have a few examples that I created the other day. Stable diffusion, output, image to image. Okay. This is actually using a different method, right? In this case, I have something that's a little bit higher than 512 than 512 by 512. This is actually 1K. I can perhaps increase it to 2K if my machine can handle it, because it's limited to the memory. But the details here, the projected texture, can be used. I mean, you get this kind of really weird details, like this, like a maybe like monkey surface combined with mecha. So it's kind of applying like depth and noise, and then it's upscaling this and adding details. So it's pretty cool. So if I wonder if we just come back to this guy and just project that texture. It might not be. It might doesn't fit right away, but let's see. Let's try anyway. Image, open. Okay, let's find. Open image. So we get a bunch of image. We can try. Okay, So it doesn't fit exactly because of the UV. I need to kind of move the UV for this guy because but other than that, it's kind of giving you an idea how this could work. If you actually want to sculpt it, you can of course try to displace the model to closely match the created texture, or you can use AI to kind of guess the depth and then try to make like a displacement for the monkey. Or you can actually bake the vertex color. Once you bake it into Suzanne, you can then try sculpting this, like pushing in, pushing out some areas, just to create kind of like a, I don't know, like a fake details, or like enough details, like a low poly details, so it's kind of conforming to this projected texture. Although keep this in mind, you are only projecting from the front view, and the back view will also have the same kind of details. Let's see how this one goes. 15 more seconds. So it seems like a very long time. Yeah, in this case it's around 4, sometimes 4, 5, 6 minutes. That's pretty good for this kind of humble machine, M1 8GB. If I have M1 maybe 16GB, it's gonna be a lot faster, a little bit faster, or M2 maybe, or M1 Ultra. So I think I should have something here pretty soon, and I can try to reproject this back into Suzanne. Okay, I think I have something. Okay, yeah, it's not the most interesting, but still we have something here. It still gives the appearance of Suzanne with eyeballs and the nose without the mouth, because it's a mecha object, and it looks a little bit stylistic. Okay, so yeah, we can just load it into the machine, plug this in. We have one projected texture. From the back it's gonna be the same, but Suzanne, if you're looking at Suzanne mostly from the front view, this projected texture should be enough. If you want to use the transparency, maybe, but this could be like a starting point, right? Because the texture itself is only 512 by 512. You can upscale it to 2K. The way you can upscale and then adding more details is by going to extra, and then here you can do like upscaling, resize it 4 times or 2 times. Okay, so we are doing this image to image using this depth model. So I didn't talk much about the actual this Stable Diffusion WebUI. This is it's like an interface with a lot of features, right? And so you have this ability to use the AI model, even using your own custom model or other people's custom model, and then you can use all these features like maybe dynamic prompting, XY plot. Yeah, there's a lot of feature here that you probably need a few days or months, few days or weeks to understand all the feature here. It's almost like an app in itself. This one is gonna take around 2.44, because I think the depth thing is very, very powerful, because in the past it doesn't understand the depth. So what it does is really look at an image and then trying to make predictions based on that. So if I use different methods, this one doesn't use depth, right? If I actually use Suzanne, and then I can set up the prompt strings 50-50. This is it's gonna match Suzanne and whatever I prompt we give, or somewhere around here, so it's gonna be stronger to the prompt. So in the past, if we are trying the same thing, mechanical, okay, praying mantis, okay, we can actually, it's not praying mantis, we can say monkey, mechanical monkey head mech portrait, whatever artist name. You can even put like emoji. We can use stable diffusion 2.1, negative prompt, ugly, blurry, cartoony. If you want to say like hyper realistic, detailed monkey head mech portrait. Yeah. If we run that, it's gonna give us some kind of monkey head, I think. But it's not, it doesn't use the depth of the image itself, while the one we are using here is actually using the depth. Of course, using the dream texture, you can just do it right away, right? Dream texture using the depth based on the actual 3D object's depth. But in this case, the one we are using, the different method, which is a little bit faster, this is kind of guessing from the image, from 2D image of Suzanne. It's gonna predict the depth for us. This one is interesting. Slightly different predictions, but it's still projecting the depth for us. It's gonna stretch at the top and the side view usually, but if you look at Suzanne from the front view like this, you don't see the stretching part. Still, I mean, maybe this could be useful, you know, like a reference for you if you want to start to modify Suzanne, maybe using like grid modeler or box cutter and starting to add the actual details. Although the texturing, yeah, it's, you can still try to match the concept. The back part maybe can be repainted. Let's reduce this, remove the specularity, or if we just if you use Eevee, turn on ambient occlusions, you're gonna get some details there. What else I haven't talked about actually? Geometry nodes. Okay, we can actually use geometry nodes. Maybe yeah. So with geometry nodes, in this case, I just, oh, this one is already applied. This guy over here. I use the Voronoi techniques. First of all, I turn the mesh to volume and then volume to mesh, so we have like a single unit of mesh, and then I use this merge by distance, so we have, now this is just a different techniques. And then okay, merge by distance, triangulate the mesh, and then I use dual mesh, and then I use the split edges and Voronoi texture. Same technique is gonna give us like a mecha looking Suzanne, and the blur, of course, it's just to separate the plates a little bit. So we can actually use this. It's kind of like Suzanne with with a shell basically. So we are totally like turning Suzanne into something else. You can bring this volume to mesh, so you can, let's say we're combining the geometry of original Suzanne with the armor Suzanne. This is what you're gonna get. So I'm showing you this so because maybe you want to start with, instead of using just Suzanne monkey head, we have something that's already kind of, the face is already broken up, kind of like a glitching, right? We glitch Suzanne into this really unusual looking armor, and then we use this as the depth and then to project our creations, like this guy. You see here, this one is slightly more abstract. I can rerun this multiple times, I get different result each time, but this one looks flat, while the one we generated using AI, using the depth, is slightly, this one is actually probably can be used as well as an idea. This one, I wonder if this one's still running. Yeah, still running, just super slow somehow. Supposedly 5 minutes every creations. Okay. This guy, okay, this guy. Blurred, split edges, dual mesh. And extrude. Maybe I should extrude it in and out, kind of randomly extruding in and out. So we have anyhow it's like a experimental. If we use this and then we go to the front view and then use the reprojection method with the AI, whether we are using dream texture or this other method using WebUI, which is faster, I can make 100 times 5 minutes, 500 minutes, yeah, around 8 hours to create 100 variations, and then I can reproject it here. So because we sort of have details here. Our brains kind of look at it, okay, we are tricking our brains to think that there's more details than there's actually is. So if you want to use that texture with the UV, let's see if I save this, save again. Convert to mesh, unwrap project from view. So it's gonna try to center it. Make sure this is square. Project from view. We can then use the material. An image texture. There we go. It's a close approximations. Suzanne head is Suzanne head. It's pretty much, yeah. So I just changed the UV slightly. Now it's kind of conforming to the previous UV here. So we can have different result. So with EV, ambient occlusions, kind of accentuate the area that's dark. This one is stretch, but we have some details there. Back part is a copy of the front part. But yeah, and if you want, you can also remember our trick to turn in this flat image into different PBR, like roughness and metalness, and it's kind of predict. You can use AI as well to do that, and then kind of create the normals and displacement. It's kind of like faking everything, basically using AI, doing a lot of hard job, and we get a result. If we don't like the look, maybe we can always kind of sculpt some areas. I believe this is pretty close. I can try to refit this a little bit better. You can use this method. So say you have 3 different texture. You can kind of compare. So this is 1, 2, 3. For stylized image, and if it's from far away, this is probably still like much better than just like I mean, you can create like a character that's like a stormtrooper, like a classic iconic character, but I found this also kind of in that area. Yeah, this one is, of course, it's not using the details. If you take a screenshot of this from the front view, take a screenshot and use this as the depth, as the starting image for the WebUI, it's gonna look so much better because it's following some of the details here. It's not exactly, but it's still using the depth to get that details kind of, and then try to match it into the plates of whatever you have here. Yeah, you can actually, if you really want, in this case we have 2 different surfaces, right? We have the inside as well. We can select the inside of Suzanne. We also have Suzanne eyeballs somewhere. We can give that a different texture material. Assign. So this one can be of different color. Yeah. And maybe this one can go to emissions. We can make it glowing a little bit. Bloom. Sky texture. Sun is not available in EV. Okay, let's turn off the sky. Apparently we have some lightings happening as well, which is interesting. Save as. So yeah, so that's basically the whole process. It's slow on my machines, but at least I'm showing you the whole process. Hopefully it's easy to understand and useful. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.